So I get a call from a friend, and I met this friend a while back. She's like, Jae, I need your help. I'm going through a divorce, and our property is, I believe it was going into foreclosure.
Oh, man.
She needed help to talk to her ex-partner, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, well, she's like, I feel like he would talk to you. I end up calling him, and he was actually receptive to my phone call.
Okay,
and
good.
I was like, oh, cool, because we hadn't talked in years.
Okay.
She was like, oh my gosh, Jae, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I know, girl, it's okay. We'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah,
Of course.
we'll just take the pictures. Let's just get it on the market.
Yep.
We ended up getting it on the market. We got a buyer. So then finally he's like, okay, I'll get that out. Don't worry about it. So she leaves, whatever. He calls me. And I'm thinking it's going to be fine tomorrow. I'll come back and check. I'm not going to tell them it's okay to do the walkthrough yet.
Right. You want to come back and see and then be like, okay, you can come.
Right.
Whatever. Yeah.
And he goes, okay, Jae, before I do this, you owe me something.
Ew.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Behind the Lockbox. I'm Stephanie Zalowski. Cam is out this week, and as you can hear, I, according to my brother, sound like a man. So I'm fighting a cold, but thank you for being here with us anyway. Today, we have Jae Ann Flores with us.
Hello.
Hi, love.
Hi, everyone.
Jae Ann is with ROA, which this is a new brokerage she just told me about.
Yes.
You've been in the business for just about 20 years, which you look like you're 20, so I don't really know how that's I don't know how that's possible. Full disclosure, this is the first time we've actually met in person.
Yes.
And I'll tell you guys about that in just a second. We were recently connected because she had a buyer for one of my listings. Sadly, that didn't work out, but we'll tell that story because it's kind of funny. Jae Ann, welcome to Behind the Lockbox.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming all the way down here. I really appreciate it. We were literally, how many days ago this was last week, end of last week, like Friday.
Yes, and I literally just found him another agent because he's moving somewhere else, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is what happened. So she basically calls, your lender called me first and said, hey, I saw your listing fell out of escrow. I have a little condo listing in Oceanside. And guys, you can't make this up. I do an open house the first weekend. Okay. And did I tell you this whole story?
Kind of, sort of, because Nicole called me and was
it was Nicole that I told.
Yes.
Okay. So you haven't heard everything. Okay. So I'm getting in and we get the escrow opened. I do an open house first weekend, Saturday and Sunday. This surfer bro, like nicest guy, comes roaring up in this big ass lifted truck, which you saw that one parking spot you can park in. Like you saw kind of the complex, like when you guys were there, right? So he comes in and he's like, hey, can I see the garage? And I'm like, sure, but like, do you want to see the condo or are you going to live in the garage? Like,
right.
What's happening?
Right.
And he's like, oh yeah, like, okay, I'll take a look around. Like, no big deal. So he walks back, sees out the backyard. It has like this big, beautiful, huge deck back there. He comes back. He's like, can I see the garage now? So I'm like, sure. So we go out to the garage and he's looking around. And I'm like, hey man, I saw your lifted truck. There's no way that truck is going to fit in this single car garage. Like there's no way.
Is that why you wanted to see it?
Well, I was like a little confused and he's like, oh no, don't worry. I'm not storing my truck in here. I'm a professional jet skier.
Oh.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Me neither.
And he was like, I'm going to store my jet skis in here, my golf cart, and my e-bike. And I'll park on the street or in that parking spot. I'm like, okay, great. So we get a full price offer from him. No one else really submits. There was a few people saying they were going to, and then rates went up last week. And people, I think, were just kind of like, okay, it's been real finicky. So we get into escrow. We get HOA docs like a day later, which when does that ever happen? We rushed them and we literally got them a day later. I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Well, good job on your part.
Yeah. And I'm actually in Vegas for a work conference when all this is going down. This is 2 weeks ago now. Yeah.
Okay. And that's how you lost your voice.
Yeah. Well, I got sick after that. So who the hell knows? But Vegas will do that to you. So the agent sends me a text and he's like, I need to talk to you, which is like never good. And we were having like a 10-minute break and I was like, okay. So I stepped out and called him. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, the HOA docs clearly state no watercraft shall be stored on the property or in the garages. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
You're like, and
I'm like, and he's like, he's a professional jet skier stuff. Like he told you this is why he wanted the garage and to buy this place. And I'm like, of all things, the one guy that makes an offer is a professional jet skier and the HOA docs state no. And so then we call the HOA.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, man, they're going to tell you, you know how this goes.
Yeah.
An HOA is just going to read to you
what they want and don't want.
Right.
But if
They're
they
not
don't
gonna-
see it, I want to say that. Like,
That's what
off record, right? I know we're on a podcast.
no. I say that stuff all the time. Like, we live in a gray area, right? Like, I'm someone who doesn't ask for forgiveness later. Like, that's just how I live my life. So I was like, listen, the guy above the unit that I'm selling has 3 motorcycles, a bike, and a metal boat, like a little tiny fishing boat in his garage.
Yeah, no one said anything. It's
And
like
also, right. And
Mhm.
also, allegedly, all the neighbors told me this at the open house. There are 2 Airbnbs on the property.
and you're
No, HOA docs state 30-day minimum. So I'm like, you tell me if you think, and he's like, okay, well, I'll talk to him. 10 minutes later, he's canceling. And I'm like, oh my God. But then
it was good for me though, because
the
we
next
met.
day, it is the good thing.
Yes.
The next day, Nicole calls, tells me, connects me with you.
Yeah.
We were about to accept your offer.
I know,
And
but
then your sweet client got basically.
actually, we should actually talk about this
Yeah.
because of the new agreement that came out, right?
Yes.
So my client,
You're referring to the buyer broker agreement.
Correct.
It's now buyer representation agreement,
Yes.
BRBC.
BRBC.
Yeah, with all the new NAR laws.
Yes.
Mhm.
So Nicole and I and this client have already been talking, but I think because he had seen this property and thought it would be a good idea just to go check it out while he was with his parents that weekend.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah,
because they
to go.
by the open house, but not with you.
No. So because he went on this website.
It was Redfin. We're just going to call their asses out. It was Redfin.
Yes.
Yeah, who, by the way, the agent showed up like 15, 20 minutes late, comes blowing in, knows nothing about the property.
Well, that's exactly
I
my
digress.
point, right?
Yeah.
So we're asking him if he's signed something because
Yes.
you didn't let us know that you had done this and you want this property because you just find out that it's back on the market.
Yes.
And he's like, I don't know. I clicked something online.
Well, and initially, when he came through, the Redfin agent did know he was military. He's in the Marines. And she
Okay.
said, does this complex offer VA? And I said, you know what? Shit, that's actually something I should know.
Mhm.
Let me text my lender. In 20 minutes, my lender looks it up and he's like, no, it doesn't. So I had to text her that night and say it doesn't. So I thought he was gone and out. So then when Nicole and you called me, I was like, wait, but he was going to do a conventional loan because he had enough money to do so.
Yes.
But anyway, we were concerned that he had signed something with Redfin, but
Right.
apparently they sent some email and he just clicked accept or something.
Yeah,
Like, so
so
we
he's
don't really
like-
know what they're doing in terms of like signing the BRBC. I'm not sure.
Well, he couldn't find anything. He just let her know via email that
That's good. Yeah.
I don't know what you sent me. I don't know.
But I'm
I'm canceling. You're not my
whatever.
agent,
Right,
and
right.
wanted to work with someone else.
Right.
So we took over.
Yep.
We were going to get together. Such a good guy.
I wanted him to have it so bad because he was the sweetest kid. And I know how much he loved the unit.
Yeah.
But then he got news from his commander.
Yes.
No.
That
He's off to North Carolina.
right. And he was so disappointed. So I said, let me find you someone. He's still with Nicole, which is great.
That's good. That's good.
But, you
But
know,
you can get him an agent out there.
we did,
Good.
which
Good.
it all worked out. But I was like,
Because he's going to be there for a while, I guess, right?
I think so. Because he couldn't really say too much. But
I know. I saw your
we have
text. I was like, oh my God, wait, tell me more. Where are you going?
sure what
Tell
to
us-
say.
Tell us everything.
I
What
know.
do you mean you can't say too much? Like,
Yes.
are you going to be running around in a tank? Tell me.
I know. I was like, but do you have any friends? Because this property's cute and I love stuff.
Oh, I know. I like really wanted to do it with you, but
Yeah.
we are back in escrow, somebody else. So
Good.
good. Yeah.
Good.
So we'll get there. But anyway, that was my first story of how we met. And
Yes.
I'm so grateful for
I
that.
know.
Now we're friends.
Oh, yes.
But when you walked in, I said, okay, how many stories do you have? And it was so funny. She's like, well, I have this one story, but I don't think I can tell it. And I was like, well, then don't, because I'm going to clip the shit out of it and use it on Instagram
Yeah.
if it's a go-getter.
Yeah.
And then I don't want you to not be able to post it or talk about it. We don't want to do that. So, but there is another one.
Mm-hmm.
All you said to me was you had to get a restraining order.
Yeah.
And I don't know where this is going,
Okay.
but I will probably stop you at some point because we've talked a lot about on this podcast what it's like to be a woman in the business,
Mhm.
how we can find ourselves in some kind of, if you want to call it sketchy situations.
Mhm.
We don't mean to, right? Like we're always trying to be smart. You had said to me, I don't do open houses alone. I don't either. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so, which is very smart. I used to a lot back in the day, but I think with the rise of things that have been happening, we definitely have to be more careful now. So
Right.
I'm just going to let you take it away. Like, what the hell?
Okay. So I get a call from a friend,
Mhm.
and I met this friend a while back. So I thought they had forgotten about me, but you know, we were friends on Instagram.
Love it.
She's like, Jae, I need your help. I'm going through a divorce and our property is, I believe it was going into foreclosure.
Oh, man.
That's what she thought.
Okay.
I don't think she knew much, but she needed help. And she couldn't, I don't know if she couldn't, but she needed help to talk to her ex-partner, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, well, she's like, I feel like he would talk to you.
So they weren't exactly like super amicable at the moment.
Correct.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think they were married, but they had this house together.
Okay. But I mean, it's an asset shared. So,
right. So, but she's like, you know, I'm hearing this stuff, or I'm getting letters from the court that they're going to take my property, this and that. And I'm like, well, how much do you owe? So, of course, you ask all those questions.
Right.
And I said, girl, you could short sell it and you both can get property. Money.
Was this a while ago?
A while back.
Okay. So this is like when some of that was taking place.
The short sales.
Okay.
But I think at that time, I thought it would be a short sale, but come to find out, they either had the choice to have a foreclosure or to sell it, not short sell, but they had money that they would collect if they sell it before they get foreclosed on.
Don't let it go to default. Like,
exactly.
Let's get it sold.
So I said, that gives me more of a reason to go talk to him, right? So I said, okay, well, give me his number.
Was she living in the house?
No, she lied. He was.
Okay.
So, I end up calling him, and he was actually receptive to my phone call.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, cool, because we hadn't talked in years.
Right.
And he was like, okay, well, why? What's going on? He goes, let's talk, this and that. So we had a couple conversations before he said, okay, yes, I do want to sell the house, because I wanted to point to him that he would get some money. I think that was his motivator.
If she's getting letters, clearly they were either not able to make the payments or payments weren't being made.
They weren't being made.
Yeah. So, he could stay there until eventually he gets kicked out by the sheriff.
Right.
But that's not really, again, you were like, no. If we sell now, you can make all this money. Yeah. So let's try to do that. Okay.
But he was not trying to cooperate with her. I think it was more about that.
Oh, it was just a vendetta. He was like, no.
He wasn't trying to, he didn't care where
I'm licensed therapist. You're like, let me mediate for you.
I know.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I call her back and I'm like, hey, he agreed to sell the house. And she's like, oh my gosh, thank you. Please save my credit, blah, blah, blah.
Seriously.
So I'm like, okay, well, I go get everything signed. I take pictures. Everything's going well. He's communicating with me.
Good.
She's obviously on board with everything.
Yeah.
I believe it was the time I went in there to take pictures, but girl, the house looked like,
oh no.
There was a party going on. So
like there was just stuff everywhere.
Not even stuff. The house was there was furniture in the room.
Okay.
In the living room. Okay, yes, there was stuff in the kitchen.
Okay.
You could tell she's taken some stuff out, but he's still living there. But
so it's like sparsely like furnished, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
But you see party drugs everywhere.
So there's just like paraphernalia,
alcohol, everything. And you're like, oh, okay.
Let me just move this crack pipe. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not touching nothing.
No, it's so funny. So many times I'm like, did you move it? And they're like, I didn't want my fingerprints on it. And I'm like, oh my God,
no idea. Yeah. I said, let's just take a picture from this angle. I mean,
let me take a paper towel and sweep everything into the sink, and then you can get like everything else.
Yeah, because the house was in great condition.
Okay.
But
it wasn't clean.
No, it wasn't clean, but I thought I could, see past that. Once everything's gone, I thought they would get rid of it, everything before the photos. I told them I was coming in.
Clearly.
So, no, of course, I should have known better. So then that kind of
not very cooperative.
Gave me an indentation of what he's been doing, right? I didn't know. I just know they weren't cool.
Right. And either he's doing it with people or he's having people come, regardless.
Yeah. Wasn't sure what the situation was. But at that time, I didn't know.
Okay.
Now that I think about, was he working? I don't think he was.
Okay.
He was obviously on stuff. Like he's not healthy.
Was he home when you were there or no?
No.
Okay, good.
So I came in with her.
Okay.
So she was like, oh my gosh, Jae, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I know, girl. It's okay. We'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah. We'll just take the pictures. Let's just get it on the market.
Yep.
We ended up getting it on the market. We got a buyer. and the buyer's now going in to do their inspections, right?
Okay.
Again, after a little bit more, now there's more party stuff because she said she went in and cleaned it.
And then, of course, like, sorry, there's a little nut in here. Everyone on YouTube is going to be like, what's going on? Anyway.
That's the bug that followed.
Yeah, it did. Okay, so you go in to do, did you go with them? The buyers?
No.
Okay, so the
No.
buyer agent and the buyers go in and do their inspections. Is he
Yes.
there?
He's not there.
But then it looks like just a party house, crack house.
Yes, they said, Jae, I thought we could come in. And I said, yes, why? What's wrong? Because I had spoken to her. She said, I'll take care of everything. I know it's tomorrow. To me, it was like, just make sure because they're going to go in there and check everything.
Right.
Anyway, to get that all cleaned up, I said, I'll pay for the reinspection fee because I felt bad.
Well, yeah, because there's only so much that you can also inspect, or they maybe didn't feel safe to do it.
They didn't feel
that day.
safe. I think that was the case. And I wanted to be there for everyone, but as that kind of agent, now that I'm older, I shouldn't have paid for some of the stuff that I've paid for.
I mean,
you know what I mean? But
sometimes
to save a deal.
Yeah. I call it buying the deal. Like sometimes it's warranted, sometimes, but we got to know when to like shut that off and just be like, go in and do your thing. Like,
right.
Whatever. Yeah.
So we get past that. Imagine everything's moving forward. Appraisal's done. Now we're at the end where, okay, guys, they're going to do their final inspection. Everything needs to be out 5 days before this date.
Yeah.
I go there and he's there this time and she's there and she's trying to tell him, can you just help me get everything out? Because we're almost there.
So she's really trying to push this along, but he is not being helpful or cooperative whatsoever.
Yes. It seemed like he's yes, like we'll do it.
But then when it comes time to he's not trying to move out.
No.
He's not getting his stuff out. He's not cooperating necessarily. No. Maybe not answering phone calls, like whatever.
And he'll sign after 5 calls or
oh my God. Like you're just
session at night that I'm like, oh my gosh. But I needed to do that to keep him
you have to.
Happy,
I've had deals like this. Yes.
So I'm like, okay. So then finally he's like, okay, I'll get that out. Don't worry about it. So she leaves, whatever. He calls me and I'm thinking it's going to be fine tomorrow. I'll come back and check. I'm not going to tell them it's okay to do the walkthrough yet.
Right. You want to come back and see and then be like, okay, you can come.
Right.
Whatever, yeah.
And he goes, okay, Jae, before I do this, you owe me something.
Behind the Lockbox is sponsored by Property Showcase Group. Property Showcase Group has a team of creatives, directors, producers, editors, marketing specialists, and designers that work in tandem to tell and share stories of the built environment. Whether you're looking for full-service production or simply just need content creation, Property Showcase Group can help take your business to the next level. To learn more or to contact Property Showcase Group to schedule a consultation, you can find them at propertyshowcasegroup.com. That's spelled PROPERTYSHOWCASEGROUP.com. PropertyShowcaseGroup.com. I'm back to talk about our sponsor and producer, Property Showcase Group. This is for all my agent and affiliate friends out there. Property Showcase Group has a special offer for you. The first 3 agents to email Property Showcase Group at teampsg@propertyshowcasegroup.com will get 1 month free of social media management using code LOCKBOX. That's right, 1 month free. And they're offering 20% off your first video production using code LOCKBOX. For more information, contact Property Showcase Group at teampsg@propertyshowcasegroup.com and don't forget to use code LOCKBOX or mention this podcast.
Ew.
Yes.
What does that mean?
I said, I'm sorry. What do I owe you? He goes, well, I signed and I agreed to sell the house because of you.
Oh my
okay. God. He goes, I've always thought, girl, I heard it all. Like, you attractive and this and that.
You're like, you always thought what?
I heard it. I heard what he said. But I could repeat it.
Yeah, you don't have to.
He was just expecting me to return a favor in my eyes. He said it. And I said, I'm not going to do that. Let's keep this professional.
My mind went somewhere real disgusting. Is that what happened? That's literally what he was saying.
He was asking for some love.
A favor.
I don't know what he was asking for, girl, but he was like,
oh my God,
you owe me. Before I sign anything, You owe me.
What a creep.
And I was like, okay, either I act like a bitch and like
And freak out right
and
now,
say
or just
exactly
keep
what
the
I'm
deal
thinking,
together. Yeah.
or I stay calm
Right.
and just react in a way where this guy will.
It's so hard to stay calm in those moments. And also sometimes, don't you feel like, I look back sometimes and think, why didn't I give that person a piece of my mind? But then sometimes you're like,
If
you're
I
so,
did,
but also sometimes you're so stunned in the moment
yes.
that you're like, is this really happening right now?
But
Like, did
normally
he
I
just
do,
say
but
what
I'm
I
like,
thought he said?
yeah. But then I'm thinking of her and her child. Their child.
Oh God, there's a kid
There's a
involved.
kid involved. So I'm just like, okay, Jay, we're doing this for her.
Right.
Keep it calm, because he didn't want to cooperate.
What did
with
you say?
I just said, I don't know exactly why you thought I owe you that,
Oh my God.
but you need to sell this house if you want your money. That's all I kept thinking about.
That's all you
Focus
could say.
on what motivated him to sign to begin with.
Exactly.
I said, look,
Like, we don't need to talk about anything else. We need
Yes.
to talk about your divorce or what, like, think of the money you're going to get.
Yes.
Like, you have to kind of,
that's what I had to keep going for. Like,
yep.
he would hang up on me and
Wow.
then continue. And he's like, you need to go out to lunch with me then at least. Like, he just was,
You're like, okay, great. Yeah.
negotiating,
we'll do that
like-
after you sign.
yes,
After close of escrow.
I had to say that.
Yeah, you have to. You have to give the end date, and then you can deal with it, like,
Later.
probably how you did.
Right.
So,
I said, we'll deal with that later. I said, but for now, this is what we have to do so you could get your money.
yeah, good. And
You
we'd be
know-
like, okay.
After maybe a million.
After you repeating yourself 60 times.
And I would call and be like, we need to get the sign because we're almost there. There's a foreclosure date, so on and so
You're not going to
forth.
get any money if you
No.
don't foreclose. Yep.
Eventually he signed. I don't even know.
How you even did it.
Yes, I don't know how, but I'm like, okay, so
So the escrow closes.
the escrow closes. Afterwards, he's calling me now. And he's like, you told me that you owe me. You owe me. You
So
need to
now he's starting to harass you.
Yes. And I'm like, what do? I somewhat told my husband at the time, but
I was going to ask if you were married back then at the time.
I am, and I'm still, but I
Mhm.
couldn't tell him fully because I know he would react and be like,
flip out.
you know,
How could they not? I mean, how any husband would be like, what? Where does this guy live?
Yes.
You know, like, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to explain how I even know them to begin with.
Yeah.
Because it's from my past, right?
Right.
So you're like, oh my goodness. So fast forward, I had to call my broker of record at the time.
Mhm.
And she was there to help me to
That's
call
good.
him and say, hey, look, these calls need to stop. Transactions over.
Right.
I had to block him. He tried calling me from different numbers, like
Wow.
every number, WhatsApp, like Facebook,
Are her and her
Instagram.
kid even safe?
They are now.
But he was definitely, I mean, she got out clearly
Yeah.
for many reasons.
Yes. And I believe he might be in jail. I don't know.
In my mind, he is.
Yeah. I just stopped asking her.
So when it kept happening, when he was calling from different numbers and things, even after you and your broker said these calls have to stop, whatever, is
Mhm.
that when you had to get the restraining order?
Yeah. She said, do you want to go ahead and do that? And honestly, I started it, didn't follow through, but
Okay.
it just stopped. I just had to block. I'm glad there's blocking now, and
Same.
there's because back then when I first started,
No.
we didn't have all that.
No.
Where you could
No.
see who's calling you.
No.
Um,
Our cell phones were definitely not,
no,
not like they are now.
But even Facebook, I didn't know you could call now, right?
Yeah.
All this stuff coming up, you could call from any number,
Yep.
from any
Yep.
social platform and connect. So
Yep.
I had to block everything. And I'm not even sure because I am, public. If he's one of the few that,
Still follow
Follow
you
me,
or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Who
Yeah.
knows? But everything has stopped and
Yes.
it's gone away. Good.
Yes.
Good.
so that's my creepy girl story.
That's so scary. I mean, that I've, thank goodness, never had anything like that happen.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that you think about, or like even when you're at an open house, like even when you have your lender there or a teammate there or whatever,
Mhm.
like our name, our signs, our phone number, like
Is everywhere.
I don't have like a Google Voice number because I just find it so annoying.
Me too.
I had one we had this new development of 9 homes that we did during COVID, and I
Mhm.
had a Google Voice number for that rang to my phone.
Okay.
And I was like, let me try it, to see if I like it, because I know a lot of agents. There was one that was trying to look at the property with me,
Mhm.
the one that you guys put an offer in on. And he's like, hey, I'm going to go look at it. He's like, by the way, this is my actual cell phone number if I call you from the, and I'm like, oh, so he was using a Google Voice number because the text came in green because I have an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing is like, I can't stand a green text. Like,
just like, can I send you an emoji? Will you get it? Or will it be that question mark?
Yeah, now it does though. Have you seen my aunt and uncle have Samsung phones or Google or whatever? And like when you heart it, it like comes up green, and then on their side it'll say like Stephanie hearted it or whatever.
Like
they're
playing. I'll just type it. I heart you.
I heart you. Thank you.
Yes.
Like they're playing a little better with each other, but it's still not like the best. But I get so mad. I also noticed with the last couple updates on Mac, you can text now a green number from your MacBook and receive those. You didn't used to. They used to not come up on your MacBook. They do now.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, so now, because I would get so frustrated.
That.
I would like be setting up a bunch of showings for a buyer, right? And I'd be like, I had a system down. I'd be like texting everyone from my Mac because I type so fast on it. Then you're just like, you know, when you have like 10 showings you're setting up.
Yeah.
And then if it was like, if it came up green when you went, I'd be like, oh, yes, to go to my phone and do it and get so frustrated. Right. Now you can do everything from your Mac. So it's getting a little better. But yeah, the whole Google Voice, I mean, it's my number. My name is very uncommon, you know? Yeah. And so it's always been something that's like, I'm just careful. You know, I'm always aware of my surroundings. I'm not fearful. Right. Like, I'm not someone who lives in fear, but like, I'm always scanning my surroundings. Like, I always know where I am at all times. You have to be. And
I'm beautiful. You better be.
I mean, and my dad raised me that way. Like, it's just always kind of been the forefront. Like, I get in my car, lock my door immediately. Like, even if I'm sitting there on my phone in my own driveway.
You know what scares me is I have a Tesla, right?
Yeah.
You have to like press on the big screen.
Yes.
Lock it.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, usually before you close the door and press lock.
Yes.
There's no lock on my door.
Yeah. Well, so I've told this story probably 3 times now. But I'll tell you because this is something that's just like, please always do that regardless. My whole family drives Teslas and I know it's like, I have an Audi, so it's a little bit different. I can still just hit the button. But I was driving to Arizona to see my family. It was right after my grandma passed away. And I stopped in Dateland. I don't know if you've ever like driven to and from. It's like middle of nowhere on the 8. Like some people out there will know what that is. And they sell like date shakes and you can get bags of fresh dates. And like my brother's like, we love dates. My brother's like, bring me some dates. I'm like, okay. Well, I got in my car. I first like opened my trunk. My dog was not with me. I usually travel with, you know, she's usually with me when I drive to and from. But she stayed here. And I opened my trunk, put my stuff in, close the trunk, get in my car, immediately lock my door. And then I sent my brother a taunting video and I'm like, hey, look at my date shake and you don't get one because it's ice cream. Like you can't, I couldn't bring it to him. And I go to put my car in reverse and right then a man comes like walking and there's people around, like not many, but there was a few. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I didn't want to startle him. So I stayed in my spot I didn't want to start reversing as he's walking next to my car because if I would that person, I'd be like, dude, geez, okay.
Yes, yeah.
So I politely wait. The next thing I know, he pulls really hard on my back driver's side passenger door to try to get in. And I turn around and I go, and I scream and I like smack my window. Yeah. And I was like, what the are you doing? Right. And he just like, and like it kind of like backs away, but he's just staring at me. And I screeched those tires when I reversed out. I didn't care if I hit him. I reversed out of that parking spot so fast. Like, everything in me, it was fight or flight. Like everything in me told me to get the out of there, like immediately.
I see these things and you watch these stories and I'm like,
what if my door wasn't locked?
That's what I'm saying. And then you have to do that whole thing where it's like you're.
Yeah.
That video is actually so funny. That doesn't work, lady on Jennifer.
They like put the rope and then they're like, hold on. They're like, let this see. Okay. I feel like we need to put that on the YouTube or something because that reel is hysterical. But it's truly, I mean, this situation haunted me for days. Like I was really upset. I cried in the shower that night. Like it just, because all I could think about was what if I hadn't locked my door?
I know.
And like I was telling a guy this story who came on and he was like, I've never had to think about that. I'm like, yeah, because you don't have to. You're a guy. Like it just, that's not how this works for you guys. You know what I mean? And so
I'm just glad a lot of people don't know how to open a Tesla door because you have to press the darn thing, right?
God.
So I'm just like trying, and I have nails, right? So you're looking at this thing and I'm all, come on.
You're like, where's the lock? Where's the lock? Well, I get to my parents' house that night and my brother, like when I was on the phone, he's like, where are you? Are you being, like, he got really like, you know, are you okay? I'm like, I'm okay. And I get there that night, he goes, give me your key. He went out to my car. He worked for Audi at the time. And so he went in and programmed my settings so that no door unlocks except for my car door unless I hit it twice. So when I go up, because you know all the doors these days, it has the thing on the handle. Right. So when you go to unlock it, all the doors unlock. Yes. And it's so annoying for anyone who's with me and they're like, I'm like, hold on, let me unlock your door. But I don't care. Like that, I only want,
because most of the time by ourselves, showing property.
Correct.
I mean, yeah. Is there something I can look up? I should be looking that up.
I will find out for you, yes,
Yeah.
because my
I'm
brother
very
actually used to work for Tesla as well, so I'll find out. There should be a set. I guarantee there's a setting on there.
And I'm okay to unlock it. You wait until I'm insane.
You wait until
You wait.
and like mine, if I unlock the back door, then all the doors will unlock. But then that's okay because then I'm in the back and like, but when it's
Yes.
just me at the driver's side, no other doors unlock unless I get in.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
we need to.
We'll figure that out for you.
Yeah.
We have time after this. We'll go look at your Tesla. I'll call my brother. I'll FaceTime my brother and be like, tell us how to do this, please. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's
or
what
I'll
we'll do.
YouTube it right now, actually.
Yeah,
now
we
that I
should.
think about it. I don't know. We could
do
do
that
this
from the car, actually. We'll do that. All right. We're going to go figure this out for you. Okay,
cool.
Do you want to play a game?
Sure.
I know you've seen this before. So the game is called Punch List. So I'm going to hit you with 3 questions. Okay. What is the weirdest situation you've ever walked in on?
Walked in on. Okay. To be honest with you, I don't think I have walked in on. Wait, real estate?
It's so funny. So many people have said that in the past. They're like, wait, in my normal life or in real estate? And I'm like, well, I don't know. What have you walked in on in your normal life?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to talk about my normal life because it's pretty fun. I've walked in everything.
We need to hang out. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should
Well,
hang
then
out.
let's do another one. What's the craziest or pettiest thing that's ever killed or almost killed one of your deals?
Okay. So I had a buyer
Okay.
and he wanted to live near a church.
Okay.
And he was calling me to tell me he wanted to cancel because after visiting the church, he found out that a girl knows everyone at the church and he doesn't want this girl to know where he's going to live.
Who is this girl?
So really what it is I guess he's already going to church with her now. And maybe because he's trying to move out of downtown San Diego,
Okay.
he wanted to make sure he was far, far away from her. He didn't tell me all this stuff before we started shopping.
Okay.
So now we're at our inspection period.
She lives with him and he's like, I'm moving. I sold the property. And by the way, don't tell her. You're like, what do you mean?
I know. That's how I was like, who is this person?
What?
He never told me about a person that's going to affect a deal, right?
Oh,
so
why?
I thought he was single this whole time because he's sitting here telling me I need a wife. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
boy.
great.
All right.
So then on my way, I'm driving to the home inspection and he's calling me, letting me know he just visited the church nearby because I told him that he can inspect anything, right?
Sure.
You give them
Wanted to
that
live at your church,
disclosure.
go check it out. Right.
Yes,
Okay.
he checks it out. The priest tells him that he knows this girl and he thinks that this girl is going to find him. And so,
Like he kind of felt like she was like stalking him and he was like trying to like.
and that he's going to find out, that she's going to find out and he cannot
No
move
way.
there.
The priest. What? And this is a different part of town, right?
Yes, completely different town. Girl, it's like an hour away.
Oh my
So
God.
I'm driving 2 hours.
And he tells you, I want to cancel when you're on your way
Yes.
there.
And I said, okay. So I had to ask all the questions that I needed to ask.
Were you like, I'll be there in 10 minutes? Like, did you get there and get in front of him basically then?
Yes. Well, I just said, let's just meet at the home inspection. He goes, I'll just pay him, but I want out. We cannot buy this house.
You're like,
So-
no, meet me there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, well, just driving there, I kept him on the phone because I wanted to make sure he was going to meet me because he had to pay the home inspector.
Right. Good.
And I wanted him to talk to the home inspector because I knew this house was in great condition.
Right.
So I thought that would help. Right. But mainly on the way there, I wanted to ask him why and who and why. Who's
How
this
did
girl?
come up? Who's this girl?
Yes.
Are you in danger?
Yes.
So when you start asking him,
Mm-hmm.
what is he like,
Well, he's basically telling me that there's this girl that is telling everyone that they're together. And I said, well, are you together? And he's like, no, we're not. And I said, okay, so have you told her this? And she thinks you're together. Yes, she thinks we're together and she's going to come find me. So I'm now on the phone saying, well, when's the last time you saw her? And he goes, yesterday.
You're like, but
I said, how did you
why?
get here yesterday? Because we went to church. She was after church. She came up to me and said, let's go to, where are we going for dinner or lunch, wherever. And I said, and then? And he's like, then I took her.
Oh,
So I said,
God.
like, are you going to tell her that you don't like her or you don't want to be with her? He goes, yes, I told her I don't love her.
Oh my.
So I said, okay, so if we cancel this transaction, I basically was like trying to get him to think about it.
Because you're like, look,
Where
she's gonna
would you
find,
move?
Yeah, she's gonna find you. She'll find you wherever you go.
Yes.
Especially when you keep going to lunch with her
Yes.
and probably tell her where you bought a new house. Like,
well, you don't tell her. He goes, I'm not planning on telling her, but she knows every church.
I don't believe him. And sir, it sounds like you're the problem.
Well, that's what we came down to.
That's the conclusion we
Yeah,
came to.
but he closed.
You closed it.
Yes. And
Good girl.
you know,
Good girl. Good girl.
I said, don't
Oh
tell her
my
where you
God.
live, okay? He's like, okay.
And by the way, you get a call like a month later. He's like, we're engaged. You're like, oh,
I don't even want to know. Like, I'm so scared to find out.
so funny. You're like, I'm not. Was this recent?
Yes, this year. Let's just say that.
You're like, I'm not. calling them.
I mean, I followed up later because that's what we're supposed to
Of
do.
course, yeah.
We're
You
just
stay in
like,
touch.
I think he needs some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad he wasn't stalking you this time.
No.
Okay. If you could be anything other than a real estate agent, what would you be and why?
Okay, so I have thought about this because I've been asked this before.
Mhm.
It would be a lawyer. I like to ask.
I like that.
And I used to sing, so maybe singing.
Oh,
Yeah, but after the whole P. Diddy thing, I'm kind of glad I didn't become a singer girl.
maybe things will be safer now. Maybe you could revisit that whole situation with
I'm
him.
too old. It's all good.
I mean,
Maybe I'll
yeah.
train my little babies.
There you
to
go.
do that.
I would love to be a singer. I wanted to be a country music singer, but
I should train you. We should sing. We should go karaoke. Do you
I
know
think-
karaoke?
no, it's
You know
not
what's
great. It's not great.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. I mean, it sounds great in my shower in my car.
Well, you
but
sound great now.
my brother's on it sound like a man. Remember?
No.
Maybe it's just the deeper voice that I
That-
can't
that's
hit the high notes, but maybe I can
Okay.
hit the low notes.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, we'll
You
work
could
on
find
this. We'll work
something.
on this. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
This was so much fun.
Yeah,
And guys,
so much.
please don't forget, follow us on Instagram. Jae Ann already does. Behind the Lockbox, at Behind the Lockbox. Leave us a kind review, of course. Please. We always need those. And don't forget, download and follow the show. And thank you so much for listening. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for
Bye,
having
guys.
me. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Behind the Lockbox is produced and edited by Property Showcase Group. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, or review this podcast. Thanks for your support. See you next week.